Guys, we finally made it. The drought is almost over. It's 2020, it's a new decade, and I'm happy to admit, as an MMA fan, I've become pretty greedy, pretty gluttonous with back-to-back cards, with absolute stacked rosters of fights, seeing new talent fly in and out over the course of the past 12 to 18 months. But we've just been missing a hint of something, just a little sprinkling of something like Irish and loud and like outspoken. As we move forward to UFC 246, we've got the main event, which is Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus the returning Conor the Notorious McGregor. My name is Thadeous, and I'm here to run through 9 of the things we are expecting from Conor's UFC return. Number 9, the return of the Notorious. As we sit a couple days out now from UFC 246, it seems like we're hearing a lot more of a reserved and diplomatic approach from the Notorious one, something a lot different than what we'd usually expect throughout the guy's career. And is it because of the mountains of pressure that, you know, from hearing folks like Dana White, the boss of the UFC, saying that this is a must-win situation for Conor, and that's agreed by the general consensus of MMA pundits around the world. Also, there may be memories of that rear naked choke, which literally haunts my nightmares and makes my jaw ache just thinking about it. On top of that, I mean, could it be that he's been quote unquote humbled? I'm gonna say no. I mean, this is Conor McGregor we're talking about. Silver-tongued dude that's literally talked his way, with his amazing fighting style, of course, and, you know, abilities, world class, talk his way from the prelims to champ status. I mean, he cuts promos that make the best pro wrestling history moments look like absolute dribble, and his contemporaries have been trying to copy this style and transcend the sport with the stardom that he's created for himself and his fan base, that identity, since he's been gone, to be honest, since the vacancy's been there. And at the end of the day, the king is back, so I don't think Cerrone's getting out of that press conference without a couple of jabs and barbs to think about. Number 8, redemption. Now, we all remember the unfortunate scenes which followed Conor's last outing when he took on the current lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov for the bout. And no matter which fighter you were rooting for, nobody wanted to see that. And it's that amongst a number of other incidents that really are sort of like marring his claim and have nothing to do with any fighter's claim to be the best in the world, whether it's brawls, whether it's allegations and other types of incidents that just literally don't belong in the cage. That's where we want to see him do his work. So we're hoping that we see a reinvigorated, a concentrated and a motivated Notorious one, of fighting pride of Ireland, because Donald Cerrone is no slouch, and anyone that is taking him for anything less than one of the sharpest tools in the lightweight division is an idiot. And I'm gonna say it. Like, the guy's sitting up there like ruling the roster for most head kick knockouts, I think most knockouts in general, with a bunch of other accolades. So this is not a guy to take lightly, and I don't think Conor will be doing it. I think he'll be coming all guns blazing. Those guys got 25 minutes to try and settle this thing. They might not go that far because of Number 7, the touch of death. Now, in a conversation on the Joe Rogan Experience, living legendary level coach Faraz Zahabi neatly and precisely explained his definition of Conor McGregor's left hand as the touch of death. And shouts out to Faraz, you're a G, but it literally does not take a mixed martial arts genius to be able to work that out. When Conor hits people with that left straight, it takes effect. We've seen some of the most durable fighters across weight classes be dizzied and dazed when he grazes them with that left hand. I mean, it sits top shelf right next to Francis Ngannou's uppercut or Saitama's serious punch for game plan changing, strategy changing strikes. And fond memories across Conor's career. We go back to the interim bout banking when he struck Chad Mendes across cage side to finish that fight, or the slight work he made out of Jose Aldo with literally like half a strike and a left punch. So we're here now in a position where we know that the fight may end quick if Conor lands that punch, and it seems like he's been taking that into account because of number 6, one thick McGregor. Butts equal canvas when they catch that knuckle sandwich. Although he's in a division now, 170, welterweight, where we're dealing in a field with heftier, heavier bulls. And I mean, look at this guy right now. I mean, look at him. I mean, okay, that's enough. Conor McGregor's been stacking on the muscle, and is it possibly so that we see that same jaw-shattering type of effects when he throws those strikes? You'd expect so. He's had quite a while off, quite a while of time to gain healthy mass, healthy muscle, and do all of those things properly. However, to run a bigger rig is going to take more energy, and we have seen that might be an Achilles heel almost of Conor's, something that Cerrone may already be looking to add into his game plan, stretch the fight out a little bit longer, take that sting out of that punch. But right now, without a doubt, we're seeing the biggest Conor McGregor that we have seen so far. Number 5, the call out of all call outs. Now, if McGregor's hand is raised as the victor and he jumps on the mic, he's got a couple of things to address, and I'm pretty sure that Joe Rogan or whoever is on mic duties is going to want to hear that too, and will facilitate. So for instance, Nate Diaz jumped on mic, called out Jorge Masvidal. Next thing that we know, they're fighting in the MSG for a brand new bout. I got a feeling that Conor's going to be interested in having a few words about that. Masvidal's been calling him small, and he's probably been making the right moves to make that super fight. Any fight with Conor is a super fight at the end of the day, and is probably looking to entertain that. Masvidal has said that he will be ringside, or he's expecting to be ringside, so we might see that. Also, moving forward, we know he's dying for that Khabib rematch, but more so that lightweight bout is a stone's throw away. Dana said it because of, you know, all of the monies, right? Now, whoever comes out the victor between Khabib and Ferguson later on down the line is going to be something that Conor's interested, so we might expect him to have a few words to speak about there. Justin Gaethje, he's going to have a few words. Well, hopefully, I hope he does address Gaethje, because my man is an absolute warrior and he's been making quite a few noise in Conor's direction so far, so we might hear him address that. But he might just go full on DC and bring Brock Lesnar into the ring for a shoving match, or, hey, picture this, kind of both as unfathomable, but yeah, a possibility because it's the Notorious one. What if he grabs the mic, shouts out Mayweather's name, and he says, Mayweather, I want you here for our rematch in the octagon. Let's go. I'm gonna just leave that to resonate for a bit. Number 4, new skills. So to see that rematch with Khabib, to avenge that loss, his most recent one, it's probably fair to say that we need to see a little bit more ground proficiency from Mr. McGregor. Now, he's no slouch on the ground. He's no waste man on the mat whatsoever, but neither is Dustin Poirier, and we all saw how that ended for the fella in Abu Dhabi. So picture this. What if we see Conor finish Cerrone with a submission on the floor? Standing guillotine or something like that. You know, okay, thinking John Jones style. What if we see him finish the fight with a barrage of elbows on the ground? Or even picture Demetrius and Cejudo's first fight, and Conor finished Cerrone with a barrage of knees. Oh, hellacious knees. Something that we often take for granted and forget with our short memory, our short-term memory loss in the MMA world as fans and onlookers, is a fighter's ability to get better. It's pivotal to their growth and their way moving up the rankings and staying at the top. Now, if we want to see McGregor close that gap, he knows what he's going to have to do, and I'm sure he's going to be getting to it. Though we shouldn't ever underestimate somebody's ability to develop whilst they're on top or whilst they've created such a limelight for themselves. You never know in this game how it's going to go. Number 3, Camp Conor. We've heard quite a remorseful and almost apologetic Conor McGregor in interviews discussing the way that he put his efforts and motivation into his last camp. And what we're seeing now is that for UFC 246 against Cowboy Donald Cerrone, he's gonna lead his own camp in the moving forwards. Now, kind of a bit weird, anytime that you hear that a fighter is developing themselves or they're having their own nutrition routine or stuff like that, it often seems a bit amateur. But let's take a couple steps back. SBG has got a bunch of stallions and is headed by a genius coach, John Kavanagh, who has been bringing a lot of fighters through into fruition of late and historically. John has actually stated in conversation that in some situations, Conor doesn't necessarily need him. But let's unpack that a little bit. So it's not to say that any fighter should go into a war without a corner team or a gang who are ready to be able to identify things from the outside of the cage which you can't see, with the blinders on. Somebody to identify changes and things that you need to exploit. However, at this point, when we're talking top 10 fighters, top 5 fighters in the world, it's not the basics that they need to be learning day to day. It's not like they're coming to fill in gaps that they haven't got. Everybody is well-rounded to a point. They're just sharpening tools and creating more opportunities to focus on and exploit in any given situation. Okay, and so in some situations, the genius move for a coach might actually just be to get out of the way of their fighter. It might be the best thing for McGregor. It might be a genius stroke by John Kavanagh, but the best thing about this game, about this sport, is that we will see. Number 2, a quick start. In this wild, unpredictable game of mixed martial arts, there are a few trends, a few things that we can make educated guesses at to predict will happen as the fight kicks off between Don and Mac. So for instance, Conor's a fast starter, we know this. If it's not Fabricio Verdun running across the ring and fly kicking somebody in the face, or Jorge Masvidal running across and kneeing somebody into oblivion, it's fair to say that Conor's a quick starter. Whilst we know that Donald Cerrone is quite the opposite, and you know, often takes a little while to warm his way into the fight, needs to get touched a few times maybe, but wants to read his opponent and work out how to finish it. Conor McGregor is a fast twitch demon, to be honest. We know that he's somebody that likes to move forwards, put on the pressure, although with a counter-punching style. And we know that Donald Cerrone has struggled with bullies before in the past. I just flash back to that Darren Till KO. And Conor's gonna wanna get in and out of there quick. These guys, neither of them get paid by the round. There's no point long in it. Although Cerrone might want to take this into deeper waters. Again, we think about the cardio Achilles heel that Conor may have. Donald might want to grapple for a little bit, you know, wear against him on the cage, a couple takedowns or two. It's definitely gonna work out in his favor over the course of the 25 minutes over the 5 rounds, because we know that Conor's gonna want to come in and sure you can him out into the front rows. So yeah, we'll see. And number 1, a pivotal moment in the UFC. As we move forwards, this is going to be, no matter who wins or loses, a pivotal moment for the career of Conor McGregor. Either he's gonna win, he's the betting favorite, either he's going to take that win and move forwards with all of those call outs as I previously mentioned, and continue to tighten or re-establish his grasp as the top of the food chain and the king of the UFC, you can say, and do kind of what he wants, the money fight, the breadwinner, all of that good stuff. However, if he loses, we may be here same time next week considering the fact that maybe McGregor's most notorious days are behind him. We will see. It's gonna be good. And that's our list. Do let us know of anything that you guys have expected to occur as we strut our way down towards UFC 246 from Conor McGregor or from Donald Cerrone, to be honest, as we will be here to review everything that we expected, everything that we didn't expect and was surprised by, right here on What Culture Combat. But for now, I've been Thadeous for the whole of the team. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you at the fights.